They walk on beams the width of your ex's loyalty. They build the skeletons of America's ego. They eat danger for breakfast and chase it with black coffee and a Red Bull. Ironworkers. The real-life superheroes who don't wear capes. Mostly because capes are a safety hazard and OSHA would have a fit. This is how to be the best ironworker. Not a good one. Not a decent one. The best. The one foremen whisper about. The one whose name gets written on porta potty walls out of respect, not insult. Let's start with the mythology. Before anyone was crying about work-life balance or asking ChatGPT how to become a digital nomad, the Mohawk ironworkers were up there, 300 feet in the sky, building the Empire State Building with nothing but steel-toe boots, nerves of steel, and packed lunches wrapped in newspaper. No harness, no yoga, just raw DNA coded for heights, honor, and hand-rolled cigarettes. These weren't guys trying to go viral on TikTok. They were the TikTok, just without the filters and with a hell of a lot more spine. So, what does it actually take to become the best? You need more than biceps and a hammer. The real OGs of iron are mental monsters. First off, you need an absolutely unshakable work ethic. Ironworkers don't call in because they don't feel aligned with today's vibration. They show up in snowstorms. They work in wind tunnels. They weld when it's 95 degrees and your skin is basically slow cooking under a Carhartt shell. There's no crying in ironwork. There's only grind, and the occasional curse off with a crane operator. But if you want to be the best, here's the secret: you need pride. Not that fake social media motivation. I mean the kind of pride that makes you level a column to within 1/32 of an inch because that's just how it should be. You take photos of your welds. You sleep better knowing your bolt-ups were torqued right. You flex in the mirror not because you're swole, but because you can hang iron with poetry. You become a craftsman of chaos. Now, here's where it gets serious. Being the best doesn't mean being reckless. The best ironworkers know when to be wild, and when to be surgical. Safety isn't for cowards, it's for professionals. There's nothing badass about falling to your death because you skipped your harness. You want to climb the ranks. Don't be the guy who rushes. Be the guy everyone trusts. Let's talk pay, because yeah, respect is nice, but rent wants cash. A starting union ironworker can make around $25 to $35 an hour. Sounds cute, right? But climb that ladder, literally and figuratively, and as a journeyman, you're pulling in $70,000 to $100,000 a year, easy. Work overtime, boom. You're eating steak dinners while your accountant raises an eyebrow. But wait, the real money. It comes when you go contractor. When you build a crew, get certified to bid jobs, and become your own boss. Business owner ironworkers can rate in six figures and beyond. Set up steel erecting companies, crane rental hookups, or rigging services, and you're in the big boy sandbox now. But this isn't all cash and girders. Being the best means knowing your tools like a samurai knows his blade. Spud wrench, sleever bar, bull pins. You should be able to rig a beam blindfolded and still beat the apprentice who's been watching YouTube tutorials. You need to know your welds, MIG, TIG, stick. You need to smell bad welds like a dog smells fear. You need to treat every beam like a tightrope act from hell, where the reward is pride, and the penalty is gravity. Also, your crew matters. The best ironworker is a leader, not a lone wolf. You gotta read people, spot who's green, who's cocky, who's hungover but trying. Mentor when needed, rip into them when deserved. But always keep the standard sky high. Because the best doesn't just build steel, he builds people. Now, what about lifestyle? Here's the thing, ironwork isn't just a job. It becomes your identity. It's in the calluses, the raccoon eye tan from your helmet, the way you judge every building you walk past. You'll lose some comfort. Your knees might scream at 40. But you'll gain something else: grit, brotherhood, stories that would make corporate desk jockeys cry into their ergonomic keyboards. And let's get philosophical. Why do this at all? Why risk it? Because steelwork is eternal. That hospital, that bridge, that tower. You built it, and it'll outlive you. People will walk under your work for decades. That's legacy. That's immortality through labor. That's why you put on the harness and walk the sky. So how do you become the best? You show up. You study. You work your ass off. You take pride. You never stop learning. You respect the steel. And you build, every damn day. Because in the end, ironwork isn't just about metal. It's about proving, every single day, that gravity can go F*** itself, because you've got work to do. That said, the real climb starts the moment you realize that being the best isn't about getting the spotlight. It's about earning your place in the shadows of the steel giants you build. Being the best means passing the torch. It means teaching the rookie next to you how to bolt up, how to throw a line, and more importantly, how to not die doing it. The best don't hoard knowledge, they hand it down like heirlooms, like warm gloves, like the stories scratched into lunchroom tables. You don't get remembered because you yelled the loudest. You get remembered because your beam never failed, because your weld never cracked, because your crew never forgot you had their back. And let's not ignore the character that comes from ironwork, the sarcasm sharpened from long days and hotter tempers, the humor that rises from rebar and ridiculous job site politics. You'll joke about foremen like they're cartoon villains, you'll nickname every coworker, and you'll turn every injury into a story. That's part of it. That's how you survive the grit. You laugh through it. Because let's be honest, who else climbs steel at 6 a.m. in freezing rain and still has the energy to roast an apprentice for his skinny jeans? Only the best. So now, here's your blueprint. Learn the trade. Respect the craft. Honor the past. Teach the next. Led by example. And stack your paychecks high enough that they start asking if you run a steel company. Because eventually, you might. Eventually, you should. Because the best don't just take pride in their work, they take over the game. But we're not done yet. Because being the best in ironworking doesn't end when the shift does, it bleeds into how you move through life. You'll start noticing details civilians miss. You'll drive under overpasses and squint at bolt spacing. You'll judge high-rise architecture like a food critic with a steel fetish. Your standards will climb even higher than the buildings you help erect. Being the best means knowing your body is a tool too. The average ironworker puts more wear on their knees than an NFL running back. So take care of yourself. Invest in the good boots. Stretch. Hydrate. Learn to eat something besides gas station burritos and stale donuts. Your body is your rig. Treat it like a $300,000 crane, not a rusty ladder. Because guess what? No one gets to be the best if they're laid up with a back blowout at 38. Longevity isn't luck, it's strategy. Want to truly set yourself apart? Learn to read blueprints like they're ancient prophecies. Know your steel grades. Know your measurements. Know your tolerances. Learn how to talk to engineers without rolling your eyes and how to talk to apprentices without sounding like a gatekeeping jackass. The best ironworkers are translators, bridging the gap between math and muscle, between vision and reality. Awesome. Let's keep going. Networking matters too. Yeah, I said it. Even in a world full of grease, girders, and guys named Buck, who you know can shape your climb. Shake hands. Keep your representative clean. Don't be the guy who job hops because nobody wants to work with him twice. If you show up sharp, sober, and steady, word spreads. You'll get called first. You'll get offered the better gigs. You'll go from, just another guy, to, we need him. That's how the best move. And while we're at it, get certified. Weld certs, rigging certs, OSHA 30. Get those letters behind your name and you become less replaceable and more respected. You want to be the best? Then don't just be a worker, be an expert. Someone who doesn't just do the job, but knows the job inside out. The kind of guy who can walk onto a job site and instantly spot 3 things wrong before his coffee cools. And here's something nobody tells you. Being the best means handling your money like a boss. Don't blow every check on lifted trucks and bar tabs. Stack cash. Get your tools paid off. Build credit. Save enough to ride out the winters if the work dries up. Better yet, use your earnings to pivot, buy a rig, start bidding small jobs, partner with other trades. That's how you graduate from wearing a hard hat to signing checks for guys who wear hard hats. You think being the best ends on the job site? Nah, the best live it. They talk shop over beers. They study photos of bridge joints. They watch documentaries about buildings like they're action movies. It's a lifestyle. It's an obsession. It's art. And the ones who truly rise, they're not just tough. They're not just strong. They're smart. Smart enough to know that success is built like scaffolding, one level at a time, always supported, always climbing. Let's shift gears for a second and talk about one thing ironworkers rarely admit they need: emotional discipline. Yeah, I said it. Ironwork is a pressure cooker. You're managing time, danger, egos, and sometimes weather that wants to kill you. The best ironworkers learn to breathe through the chaos. You don't let stress shake your hand. You don't flip out when the crane's delayed or some rookie drops your ratchet 20 stories down. The best adapt. They keep their head while others are losing theirs. That's not soft, that's pro. And speaking of pros, let's talk mentorship. If you've got years under your belt, start lifting others up. Teach them how to walk the steel, how to double check a bolt pattern, how to rig without snapping a finger off. Every time you train someone right, you strengthen the whole trade. Every time you talk trash instead of teaching, you weaken it. The best ironworkers leave a trail of better workers behind them, not just stories about how good they were. That's real legacy. Now let's address the haters. Because if you start standing out, people will try to clip your wings. You'll hear things like, he's just trying too hard, or, he thinks he's better than everyone. Ignore it. That's background noise from the cheap seats. The truth is, being the best makes people uncomfortable, especially the ones who gave up on being great. Let them grumble, let them gossip. You keep climbing. Eventually, you'll hit a crossroads. Stay on the tools, move into supervision, start your own firm. Each path comes with different battles, different rewards. There's no one size fits all. But here's the deal. Whatever path you choose, bring the same fire to it. If you become a foreman, be the foreman everyone actually wants to work for. If you go into business, run it with grit and integrity. If you stay on the steel, become the elder statesman of the job site, respected, unshakable, a human blueprint of excellence. And one final truth bomb: don't wait for permission to be the best. You don't need some magical moment or official certification that says, you've made it. You make it every day you show up early, work like hell, and leave the site safer, stronger, and cleaner than you found it. You make it when the crew respects you. You make it when the building inspector nods without saying a word. You make it when you push past tired, past lazy, past fear, and keep going. That's how you become the best ironworker. Not overnight. Not because someone gave you a gold sticker, but because day after day, you chose to be better than yesterday. You chose to build, not just with your hands, but with your heart. You chose to be the kind of worker they tell stories about. And in a world made of glass and egos, you chose steel. Real, strong, unshakable. Let's talk global opportunity. Did you know American ironworkers are in demand around the world? Our training standards, certifications, and get-it-done mentality are recognized globally. From Dubai skyscrapers to Canadian hydroelectric projects to mega stadiums in Qatar, American ironworkers often get the nod. So if you've ever wanted to travel and still sling steel, it's possible. Just make sure your passport has room for visa stamps and your knees are ready for new time zones. And hey, speaking of time, time is your best friend or your worst enemy in this trade. You either learn to master it, or it masters you. The best ironworkers don't just clock in, they manage time like a weapon. They know how long a weld should take. They understand the rhythm of rigging, the flow of the site, and the tempo of deadlines. Master time, and suddenly you're not surviving the day, you're controlling it. Want another edge? Learn other trades lingo. Understand what the concrete crew needs, what the electricians are laying out, what the HVAC team is freaking out about. The more you understand the ecosystem, the more valuable you become. You go from that guy on steel to that guy who gets the whole job. And trust me, that guy gets the callbacks, the leadership roles, the respect. Also, never stop learning. Technology's creeping in everywhere. Drones for layout, AR glasses for measurements, automated welding rigs. You don't need to become a robot, but the best ironworkers don't get left behind. They evolve, they adapt, they learn the tools of tomorrow while still mastering the tools of tradition. Let's talk injuries. They happen. You tweak a knee, you burn a hand, your back reminds you it exists. The best know how to prevent, recover, and bounce back. Learn your body, learn recovery, know when to push and when to rest. You're not soft for stretching. You're smart. The best ironworkers can do the job well into their 50s, 60s, because they didn't act like invincible dumbasses at 30. Let's zoom out. Big picture. Being the best ironworker isn't just a flex, it's a gateway. It can lead you to foreman, superintendent, safety manager, even general contractor. Every level has its own game, but the foundation is always the same. Show up, shut up, work hard, learn everything. From there, sky's the limit, literally. This trade ain't for everyone. That's what makes it elite. You're building the bones of civilization while most people can't even build the coffee table from IKEA. So when you're up there, beam underfoot, skyline in your face, don't forget who you are. You're not just a worker. You're an artist, a badass, a blueprint carrying, bolt tightening, weld laying king of altitude. And yeah, you might go home sore. You might come home dirty. But when you pass that building 20 years from now and whisper, I helped build that, it'll all be worth it. Let's go, steel-toed and full throttle. Here's something they won't teach you in trade school. Being the best doesn't mean being loud. You don't need to bark orders to lead. In fact, the best ironworkers often lead with presence, not volume. It's in how you tie off without being told. How your layout is always right. How you catch a mistake before it becomes a problem. It's how you carry yourself when no one's watching, because leadership starts in silence. And the crew knows. They always know. And don't get it twisted. Being the best also means being able to take a joke. Ironwork is 10% steel and 90% roasted egos. If you can't take heat from the crew, You might want to go build Legos in a carpeted office. The job site is its own culture, a blend of sarcasm, dark humor, and inside jokes that would cancel most people on Twitter. But inside that chaos is a weird kind of love. Because if they're roasting you, they like you. If they ignore you, you're screwed. Now let's talk apprenticeship. It's your boot camp, your proving ground. The best don't coast through it, they dominate it. Show up early, listen more than you talk. Ask good questions. Be the guy who volunteers. Be the guy who doesn't complain about sweeping. You think the legend didn't sweep floors? He did, with pride. Then he swept the deck with his skills. You want the crew to take you seriously. Earn it. Through sweat. Through silence. Through showing up again and again, better every day. And if you're already a journeyman, don't let the fire fade. Too many guys hit that level and flatline. The best, they level up again and again. New certs, new systems, new roles. They stay dangerous. They stay sharp, because this trade, like the steel we sling, doesn't forgive dull edges. Let's break down the mindset. Being the best starts way before the first bean. It starts when the alarm clock goes off. You get up, no excuses. You gear up like it's battle, because it is. You prep your tools the night before. You double check your gear. You visualize the work. Sound cheesy, maybe, but while the others are fumbling for their boots, you're already 5 steps ahead. That's the gap. That's the edge. Let's be real, job site politics exist. Sometimes the guy who gets promoted isn't the best. He's the loudest or the boss's buddy. It happens. Don't let it poison you. Keep your head down. Build your skill. Stack your reputation so high they have to notice. The best don't play games, they play the long game. You know what else sets you apart? Dignity. You clean up your work area. You don't leave bolts loose. You don't take shortcuts. You don't let pride keep you from asking for help when it matters. That's not weakness. That's professionalism. You protect your name by doing it right every time. You earn the right to talk big by backing it up with results. Let's address fear. You think the best don't get scared on the beam. They do. The difference is, they work through it. They trust their training, their balance, their rigging. They don't freeze, they flow. Fear is part of the package. But courage is finishing the weld anyway, even when your knees are whispering doubts. Want to know one more way to stand out? Communication. The best ironworkers know how to talk, short, direct, no BS. Call out hazards. Confirm lifts. Clarify plans. Keep it tight, keep it real, and don't mumble into your harness like a zombie. You're not just part of the team, you are the team. Communication keeps you safe, keeps others safe, keeps the job moving. Here's the ugly truth. Not every job will be glamorous. Some days you'll be bolting up in a cornfield next to a sewage treatment plant, smelling things that no man should smell. Other times, you'll be setting steel at sunrise on the edge of a mountain, watching the sky catch fire. You take the good with the crap, the epic with the mundane. The best show up for all of it, because it's all part of the build. Let's talk personal branding. No, not Instagram. I'm talking job site representative. That's your brand. Are you the guy who shows up 15 minutes late and always forgets a tool? Or are you the guy they trust to close the job without a hiccup? The best protect their name like a company logo. Because once you get known as reliable, it follows you forever. Want another superpower? Learn to read people. Know when someone's in over their head. Know when a guy's about to lose his temper. Know how to talk a hothead down and how to fire up a slacker. Emotional intelligence is rare in this field, which is why the best who have it rise faster, lead better, and earn more. Here's one more game changer. Take pride in teaching. If you're seasoned, don't hoard knowledge. Share it, not with arrogance, but with purpose. Teach the new guy how to tie off right. Teach him beam etiquette. Teach him not to walk under loads like a zombie. Every lesson you teach right is a life saved, a crew strengthened, a trade honored. Let's break the silence on mental health too. This job's tough. Long hours, physical grind, pressure from all sides. Don't bottle it. The best ironworkers don't just keep their bodies in check, they manage their minds. Whether it's talking to someone, working out, taking time off, or just having a laugh with the crew, it matters. You're human, and humans need balance. The best don't just carry tools, they carry responsibility. They show up knowing others are watching. That apprentices model them, that supervisors rely on them, that every decision they make has consequences, structural, financial, even human. That's weight, and they carry it with honor. Let's hit you with a scenario. Cranes delayed, schedules behind, and some newbie just cross-threaded a critical bolt. Half the crew's ready to riot. What does the best ironworker do? He breathes, assesses, delegates, fixes, moves. While others panic, the best perform. That's what makes them elite. Let's talk career stacking. Think beyond the job. The best are always plotting. They get their CDL to haul gear. They study estimating to bid jobs. They take night classes to learn structural drafting. They don't just work, they build careers. Brick by brick, skill by skill. And if you think that's too much effort, cool. Stay where you are. But don't be shocked when 5 years from now, that quiet guy who used to sweep the deck now owns a crew, drives a Julie, and gets invited to bid million-dollar jobs. That's what leveling up looks like. Your uniform may be stained and sun-faded, but how you wear it says everything. Stand tall, show pride. Whether you're welding a 10-ton beam or aligning a simple column, do it like it matters, because it does. That steel will stand longer than you will. Make sure it carries your name in silence and strength. You'll face moments where quitting looks easier. When your back's tight, when the boss is riding you, when the weather is cruel and the site's chaos. But quitting doesn't get remembered. Excellence does. And the best ironworkers, they become stories. They become standards. They become the benchmark others rise to meet. Onward, legend. Time to build higher. Let's talk adaptability. The best ironworkers don't complain when the game changes, they evolve. The building plan shifts mid-job. They adjust. The crane's down. They hustle the manual rigging. Project went from slab on grade to a 14-story hotel with a cantilevered mezzanine. Beautiful. Because here's the truth. Construction rarely goes as planned. That's why being flexible, mentally and physically, is one of your most lethal tools. Rigid minds break. Adaptive ones run the job. And let's not sleep on creativity. You thought this was just grunt work. You thought wrong. Steel erection is geometry, ballet, and street fighting rolled into one. You solve puzzles in real time, in 3D, with your hands and instinct. That stairwell doesn't fit, the column's off, the bolt pattern's backwards. You don't cry, you engineer a workaround. The best ironworkers are part craftsman, part mechanic, part MacGyver. Their minds are as sharp as their tools. Let's talk about your body again. I don't care how tough you think you are, this job will break you if you don't respect it. You've got to move smart. Lift right. Get massages. Yeah, I said it. Ice baths. Stretch. Take care of your damn shoulders. That shoulder's got to hang 300 pounds of spuds, harness, and grit while you're walking a 12-inch beam. That rotator cuff isn't optional. It's everything. You want to keep working past your 30s. Then train like an athlete. Sleep like a monk. Eat like a man who cares if his spine still works. Your body is the machine, and there's no trade-in once it starts squeaking. Be the guy who's jacked at 50 because he played the long game, not the guy on his third back surgery wondering where the years went. And let's get into one of the most underrated areas of greatness: documentation. Yeah, the best ironworkers keep clean logs. They note weather delays. They take photos of sketchy setups. They document lifts, times, issues. Why? Because if anything goes sideways, your notes are your sword and shield. Lawsuits don't care how good your weld looked, they care what's on paper. Be sharp in the field. Be even sharper on record. Next up, learning how to delegate. Once you're climbing the ranks, you can't do it all yourself. You've got to trust your crew. Let them handle it, while you handle the bigger picture. But delegation isn't dumping tasks and disappearing. It's knowing who can do what. It's training them up. It's checking the results without babysitting. Leadership isn't about doing more. It's about building more people who can do what you do. And don't let your ego trip you. Even the best ironworkers get corrected. Sometimes the apprentice catches a bad call. Sometimes the engineer saves your ass. Sometimes the crane op sees the better angle. Good, that's not shame. That's team. The best don't let pride blind them. They let results guide them. Here's another secret. The best never stop being apprentices. They might teach others, but they're always learning. From younger guys. From older guys. From that one grumpy bastard who drinks 2 monsters by 8 AM and never says good morning. Everyone's got something. Learn from them. The second you think you know it all, the job will humble you. Want to make real money? Build a niche. Become that guy, the one who rigs better than anyone. Or welds pipe in insane positions. Or knows more about post-tension slabs than the structural engineer. Specialization doesn't mean isolation. It means demand. You want to be booked out months in advance. Become elite in a lane. Now let's talk customer service. Yes, you heard that right. Because whether you like it or not, you're not just building for a paycheck, you're building for a client. And if you can make their life easier by being faster, cleaner, smarter, or just more professional, boom. Repeat business. The guy who can build and communicate. That's the unicorn. That's the guy who gets asked back. That's the guy who gets referrals. That's the guy who, if he opens his own outfit, has customers before he's even filed his LLC. Let's throw some numbers at you. In the US, the top 10% of ironworkers, union and non-union, are raking in over $100,000 per year. But that's just the beginning. The real bread comes when you go from labor to leverage. When you run crews. When you run contracts. When your tools are in the truck because your name's on the bid. You know what a small steel erection firm can bring in annually? Low 6 figures. Nah. Try high 6 to low 7. That's not fantasy. That's the blueprint, if you want it. But you've got to think bigger. Want to scale? Learn project management. Learn estimating. Get into BIM, building information modeling. Learn how digital planning meets real-world execution. Learn how to talk to architects without punching a hole in the drywall. Because if you can bridge the worlds of vision and reality, you're not just the best ironworker, you're a unicorn in a hard hat. Let's get raw. There will be days when you hate this trade. When your boots are soaked. When your foreman's a tyrant. When your joints are grinding and the wind is cutting through you like a knife dipped in ice. That's when you ask yourself, why am I here? And the answer will never be simple. It's pride. It's the view. It's the paycheck. It's the crew. It's the satisfaction of building something real. Something that wasn't there until you showed up. You want to be the best? Then show up when it sucks. especially when it sucks, because that's what separates the average from the elite. Anyone can work on a sunny Friday with an easy load. But the best, they shine on the days that break weaker men. Let's talk family. This job eats time. It eats weekends. Sometimes birthdays. Sometimes Christmas. The best know how to communicate with their people. They make time. They plan ahead. They're not perfect, but they're present. If you've got a wife, a husband, kids, a dog, be there. Don't let the job steal your whole life. The best know when to clock out and go home, mentally, too. And lastly, legacy. You want to be remembered. Build buildings, yeah, but also build people. Build up your apprentices. Build up your crew. Build a reputation that outlives your knees. Be the guy they point to in the future and say, that's who I learned from. That's who I respected. That's who I want to be like. That's what being the best is. It's not about flexing on Instagram or screaming in meetings. It's about walking into a room and knowing your presence speaks louder than your mouth ever could. It's about standing tall in the face of chaos, with a harness on your chest, a ratchet in your hand, and a team behind you that would follow you in a burning high rise. And why? Because you earned it, every single day. Let's finish the fight. Here comes the steel-clad Part 5. Let's strip it back. What is an ironworker, really? You're a backbone, a hidden force. People drive across bridges and never think twice about who tied the rebar, who torqued the bolts, who walked the beam with 600 pounds of steel dangling beside them. They don't think about you, and that's the point. You did it right. You did it so damn well that your work disappears into the background of daily life. But you'll know, and that knowing, that's sacred. The best ironworkers don't chase applause. They chase perfection. They chase that sweet, dangerous silence, the moment after a beam sets in place and everything just clicks. That's the real high. You're chasing mastery, not attention. You don't need to yell when your work speaks louder than a jackhammer on payday. Now let's talk failure. Because the best don't avoid failure, they analyze it. You blow a weld, you own it. You forget your rigging checklist and delay the lift. You admit it. You learn. You adjust. That's growth. That's how you sharpen your blade. The guys who hide mistakes never get better. The guys who study them, they evolve. And evolution is how you stay at the top in a trade where most people burn out before they even peak. And burnout is real. You'll feel it. Long weeks, stressful foremen, delays that weren't your fault but somehow become your problem. The best ironworkers pace themselves. They find rhythm in the chaos. They know when to lean in and when to recover. They don't let ego push them past the point of safety or sanity. Because surviving the job isn't enough. You've got to thrive in it. Let's shift into economics. You've got skills. That means you've got value. Don't undersell yourself. Know your worth. And I don't mean just hourly wage. I mean long-term worth. Retirement, equity, contracts, ownership. The best ironworkers aren't just thinking about Friday's paycheck. They're thinking about 20 years down the line. How can this skill set build wealth, not just wages? That's why some of the best go beyond the job site. They invest. Some flip properties. Some launch equipment rental businesses. Some partner with engineers or contractors and start niche firms, stair systems, architectural steel, telecom towers. This trade opens more doors than you think, if you've got the vision. Don't let the hard hat limit your imagination. Let's pause and address the rookies. If you're just getting in, here's the truth. You're gonna suck at first. You'll drop tools. You'll weld ugly. You'll get clowned. That's normal. Don't take it personally. Take it as your initiation. The best all started there. They didn't cry about it. They got better. They came in early. They stayed late, they took the jokes, learned the lessons, and kept climbing. That's the move. And for the seasoned guys, never forget that feeling. Remember what it was like to be green. Show patience when it's earned. Show tough love when it's needed. But don't forget that we were all apprentices once. The best ironworkers teach because they want to leave this trade better than they found it, not just fatter in the wallet. You know what else the best do? They fight for the trade. They protect union standards. They mentor. They volunteer for training events. They call out safety risks before someone gets hurt. They stand up when contractors try to cut corners. Because when you're the best, you realize the job is bigger than just steel. It's about protecting the craft for the next generation. Let's get tactical again. One way to instantly stand out on any crew. Be the solution guy. Every job has problems. Deliveries are late, anchors are off, beams don't line up. Don't just point at the mess. Bring a fix. Think on your feet. Talk to the right people. Offer a plan. The best aren't problem spotters. They're problem solvers. And that kind of mindset, it's priceless. Crews love it. Supers remember it. Contractors pay extra for it. And yeah, sometimes the problem is the people. You'll work with hotheads, lazy guys, corner cutters. You don't need to be their friend, but you do need to set a tone. Keep your standard, keep your calm, and when you speak, speak with weight. The best ironworkers have a way of making the room stop talking, because when they do speak, it means something. There's a moment on every job where the chaos peaks. Maybe it's weather, maybe it's inspectors, maybe it's just a busted schedule and everyone losing their minds. And in that moment, the best ironworker becomes a lighthouse. Calm, clear, grounded. That's leadership. That's excellence. That's the guy everyone gravitates toward. Not because he's loud, but because he's anchored. Let's flip it. What if you don't want to run crews or start a business? That's fine. Not everyone wants to be a boss. Some just want to be craftsmen, masters of the beam. That's honorable. The best doesn't mean the richest. It means the sharpest, the most respected, the guy who other workers watch when they're unsure. Whether you're a crew lead or a journeyman lifer, your path is valid. Walk it with pride. Let's zoom in on communication again. You want to run a safe job? Speak clearly. Radio calls matter. Crane directions matter. Hand signals matter. A misread signal can kill someone. So be crisp. Be consistent. Don't be lazy with language. Don't assume people, just know. The best over-communicate when it matters. Because one moment of clarity can save a life, or a lawsuit. Speaking of safety, you want to be respected. Watch how the best treat their gear. They inspect their harness. They know their lanyards. They don't use a frayed line because it looks okay. They tag out faulty tools. They lead by example. You don't need to preach. Just be seen doing it right, and people follow. Let's hit one more critical piece: humility. You can be the best without being an A** hole. You can be confident without being cocky. You can be elite and still ask questions. In fact, the best to ask. They're constantly learning, constantly improving. Arrogance is fragile. Mastery is humble. Stay grounded, and people will root for your rise. You'll know you're becoming one of the greats when the site runs better with you on it. When the tension drops. When the work moves smoother. When the younger guys gravitate toward your shadow without being told. That's presence. That's power. That's what legacy looks like in real time. Here it is. The final 1,000 words of how to be the best ironworker. The closing chapter. The final weld. The legend cemented. So what happens after you've reached the top? After you've put in the years, mastered the craft, led the crews, built the buildings? What does being the best look like when the knees ache, The phone rings with consulting gigs, and the job offers start to feel smaller than your skill set. It looks like peace, quiet confidence, no more barking to be heard, no more proving. It's walking onto a site and the whole crew straightens up just because you're there. It's the way foremen still call for your advice, even if you're retired. It's the new generation quoting you without even knowing they're doing it. You see, the best don't age out, they evolve. They might step off the beam, but they don't leave the trade. They teach, they mentor, they consult, they build legacy. They speak at schools, they start programs, they become the iron backbone behind the next generation, not just in steel, but in mindset. And this trade needs that more than ever. Because let's be real, the world's changing. Automation's coming, AI's coming, prefab's coming, but no machine, no robot, no shiny new software is ever going to replace the guy who knows how to make steel sing. The guy who can walk a beam in the wind with nothing but balance and a bolt band. The guy who understands that buildings don't just rise, they're raised through sweat and trust and timing and guts. That guy is you. So what's next? You take everything you've learned, and you go even further. Maybe you train new crews. Maybe you start your own outfit. Maybe you transition into inspections or safety or structural consulting. Whatever it is, do it with the same fire you had on your first day when you were just a kid staring up at a steel skeleton and thinking, I want to be part of that. Remember that feeling. Hold on to it. That hunger is sacred. It's the engine that built towers. It's the voice that told you to climb higher, to hold longer, to weld cleaner. It's what made you you. And the best never lose it. They just channel it into whatever they build next. Here's the final truth. There is no finish line. Being the best isn't a destination. It's a decision, made daily, reinforced by action, sealed by integrity. You'll be tested, challenged, knocked down, doubted, but through it all, you'll keep building, not just structures, but a reputation that can't be bought, borrowed, or faked. You'll become what most men only pretend to be. And one day, years from now, someone will point to a high-rise, or a bridge, or a football stadium, and say, yeah, my uncle worked on that. He was one of the best. And that will mean more than any trophy, title, or paycheck ever could. Because ironwork is about more than steel. It's about strength, resilience, brotherhood, legacy. And if you've made it this far, if you've walked this whole journey with me, then guess what? You're already on your way to becoming the best ironworker. Now get back on that beam. There's still sky left to conquer.